I don't trust her anymore after what she did to me. Hi everyone, welcome back to another Reddit cheating story. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you won't miss another cheating story goes live. I am 39M and my partner is 37F. I am a previous victim of infidelity in 2012 in my first marriage that ended when my ex-wife became pregnant with another man's child. I met my current wife in July 2014. During the first part of our relationship, she told me she had a sexual affair with a married man who was 48 years old and was her boss's boss at work in late 2012. He would plan cross-country trips for him and her together for work and booked hotel rooms throughout our home city for their affair. The 48-year-old's wife never found out. I asked my significant other if this man was out of her life. She said yes, and we moved on with our relationship and got engaged in July 2015. In September 2015, I found her texting with someone I didn't recognize. It turns out it was this affair partner. I started to dig deeper. It turns out she saw this man as a sort of mentor given his senior status in the organization. She had even planned several get-togethers over the previous year with him for talking and guidance. For one of these get-togethers in July 2015, she told me she was having dinner with work friends. It turns out she was meeting him at a bar for a conversation about a new job she was pursuing. I read their emails planning the get-together and they were flirtatious about what she would be wearing and had lots of smiley faces. Then I looked at our wedding invitation list. We just got engaged 2 months prior, and both the AP and his wife were listed as invitees to our wedding. She swears that at these various get-togethers during our relationship that they just talked about work and there was no sexual contact. She was scared to tell me about meeting him because she felt like I wouldn't understand. After I found out about the continued contact and meetings, I asked her to immediately stop all contact. She did comply and sent him an email explaining they could never talk again and blocked him on LinkedIn. As best I can tell, she has stopped all contact since 9/15. I spent lots of time in therapy. I am unsure if their affair was sexual during my time with her, but to me it might as well have been. I had a hard time believing her telling me that there was no sex involved with these get-togethers. Fast forward to 7 years later and I still have anxiety about their relationship. I have to take an SSRI to cope. Every now and then I start to spiral and lash out at her about why she would lie to me about her time with this man. She still swears nothing sexual happened during our time together. Now, my questions: 1. Should I reach out to the AP's wife? She still has no idea about this affair. It doesn't seem fair to her. I would like to know if it was me. Also, in a way, I want the AP to feel some of the pain he has caused. 2. How can I move on with my relationship and get past the thoughts of my wife with this man? My wife has been faithful to me since our wedding as far as I know. But I have trouble with trust after her lies about this man. I would love to clear my mind of the sexual images of him and her, and would love tips of how to get these images to disappear. Update: I have texted the AP asking him the month/year of their last sexual encounter. He has not responded and it has been over 24 hours. The text is blue and does say delivered. I may text him again and tell him to call me if he prefers not to have anything in writing. Unsure how hard to push this, especially in light of possible polygraph results coming soon. My wife is going for a polygraph on March 19th. She says she will be so happy to pass this and has nothing to hide and is looking forward to it. Last night I spoke with the AP. I can be 99.9% certain he did not speak to my wife prior to my conversation. I can read my wife pretty well and she would be shaken if he contacted her. Also, I have looked through her emails, phone calls, social media, etc. and see no evidence that they spoke. His number is still blocked on her phone. He told me their last sexual affair was in 2012. During their get-together in 2015 he stated they had a 45-minute talk about a job and there was no sexual contact. During the time of their sexual affair in 2012 he was in divorce proceedings with his wife. They have now reconciled and he has come clean to his wife about his indiscretions. The polygraph is tomorrow. My wife is looking forward to the test. I am praying my wife passes and I can move forward. Thank you all for your advice. Here is the second story. Wife joined FB fan clubs and I later discovered what the FB group was. A quick history. I grew up as an orphan. I lived in many different children's homes and foster homes. I joined the military as soon as I graduated high school at age 17. My senior trip was boot camp. I have always been fiercely independent and unwilling to allow myself to depend emotionally on anyone. I met my wife 16 years ago. We had a wonderful first 10 years. Then I got sick. I had diverticulitis and a resulting colon resection that took 2 years to heal due to the extensive damage done by the illness. I gained weight, became dependent on a CPAP machine, and developed diabetes due to an inability to regulate the formation of proper chemical levels because one of the parts they removed was responsible for absorption of water from digestion. My wife didn't believe how I was even though I had her go to appointments and she was there when the surgery took a bad turn and lasted 11 hours instead of 2. I became very low on testosterone but couldn't find a doctor willing to treat me until everything else healed up. It really is amazing how much our bodies depend on water to create every hormone and chemical necessary for our survival. During this time my wife became distant and resentful because I spent lots of time with our 5-year-old daughter. She is a high-functioning autistic child and has always been a daddy's girl because our brains work similarly as I'm also on the spectrum and high-functioning. My wife separated our shared Facebook account claiming it was confusing for her friends. A voice in my head alerted me that this was not the real reason. She had always been into romance books. She had started reading the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. She joined a private fan club on Facebook and the wayward oath began. Our sex life had suffered due to my poor but recovering health. She claims to have thought that since I was not interested in sex, recovering from being sawed in half and a huge portion of my digestive system removed, that I would not care if she flirted with other group members. She has admitted several times that she knew it would hurt me and that is why she hid it from me. Later I found out that these fan clubs were just a place to flirt with other members. She met a con artist that claimed a long sad story of being a disabled veteran that had the terrible luck of marrying the wrong woman who had divorced him for another man and had his disability revoked. Turns out he was a washout from Army boot camp that had been trying for years to get disability at the same time he was riding motorcycles and ATVs with a relative he lived with. They started sexting. She ended up sending him 2 videos of her using a sex toy. The affair lasted about 6 months from what I can glean. She ended it because he kept trying to meet in person. He was very unattractive and flabby. He was broke because he didn't like to work. He actually got divorced because he was an abuser. He got arrested for not paying child support. All this came to light after she told him it was getting too real and she had just been having fun. For about a 2-year period she was in another group called Studio 54 and Beyond on Facebook. Also a private and unsearchable group. In this group people shared nude pics and commented on each other's pics. If anyone was hurtful, honest, about some of the other members they were booted. It was started by a bitter woman that lives vicariously over the internet and lies about her real life to get online friends to think highly of her and join her kink groups. WS claims to have only shared topless pics with bows on the nipples and only PM'd one other guy a single time and only a topless pic. Turns out he was catfishing the entire group. That ended roughly early 2017. For the last 6 years, my inner voice was screaming at me that she had been unfaithful. I had zero evidence but still accused her about every few months. In the last year we seemed to have a blow-up argument every 2 weeks. I knew something was going on or it happened the entire time but only got a partial admission a few weeks ago. In the previous 4 years we had argued about my irrational jealousy and wild imagination for accusing her of infidelity. She even had me convinced that I needed to talk to a counselor because it must have stemmed from my childhood abandonment issues. A few days later I finally told her she needed to come perfectly clean because I had lost all faith in her and we had started arguing in front of our children from time to time. I told her I wanted all the passwords and intended to download her Facebook history and pore over it. No more trickling out only what she thought I knew while omitting anything she thought I didn't know. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for any future cheating stories.